For this week's thought, I'd like to read just a short story from one of my favourite authors and storytellers, Rob Parsons, from his book that I'm currently reading, Let Me Tell You a Story. And this is my favourite love story. John Blandford was in a library in New York just before the outbreak of the last war. Flicking through the pages of a book, and in the margin he saw some notes in what looked like a woman's handwriting. Sure enough, he turned to the flyleaf, and there was the woman's name and address, Hollis Meynell. He was intrigued by what she had written, and so he wrote to her. She wrote back, and then he was called to the war in Europe. But they continued to correspond, and after a few months he found he was getting attracted to Hollis. So when he next wrote, he said, "Please, would you send me a photograph? I'd like to see what you look like." Her reply was, No, she said. "If you really care for me, it shouldn't matter what I look like." Well, he found her response rather hard, but they kept writing, and after 6 months or so, it seemed that she had some affection for him. And that gave him the courage to ask the question again. "Would you send me a photograph of you?" he said. Again, she gave the same response. "If you really care for me, it shouldn't matter what I look like." Well, after 11 months, John was due for his first furlough. And he wrote to Hollis saying, "I'm coming home at Christmas. Would you meet me?" She said, "I will. 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve at Grand Central Station, New York." "How will I recognize you?" he asked. "I'll wear a red rose in my right lapel," she said. "And how will I recognize you?" "Well, I'll be in my uniform," he said. "But I'll tell you what, I'll hold the book you wrote the notes in high above my head." Well, imagine this. They've never met. And John takes up the story. "Finally the day came," he said. "I walk into Grand Central Station, and there are hundreds of people milling around, and I'm searching for this woman who has captured my heart. And suddenly out of the crowd steps a young woman. She has long fair hair and is dressed in green. It seems as if springtime is bursting out of her. I am captivated, so captivated that I omit to notice that she is not wearing a rose. She smiles at me, and as she walks by, she looks back and says, 'Would you like to go for a drink, soldier?' I was about to follow her, but suddenly out of the corner of my eye, I saw another woman wearing a red rose. She was older, much older than I thought she would be. She had a little knitted hat upon her head to keep out of the cold, and a long brown overcoat that made its way down to sensible flat brown shoes. She wore little round glasses and carried a walking cane. I desperately wanted to go after the young woman in green, but then I thought to myself, no, this lady has sustained me through the long months of the war. This won't be a romance, but it could be something far deeper. So I didn't hesitate. I walked up to the woman with the rose and said, 'My name is John Blandford. You must be Hollis Meynell. Could I take you to dinner?' The elderly lady half smiled, half scowled. 'Young man,' she said, 'I've no idea what this is all about. But the young woman in green who just went by me begged me to wear this rose. And she said, if you were to invite me to dinner, she'll be waiting for you in the big restaurant across the road.' Apparently, young man, it was some kind of test." Well, as I think back on that story, I realised that Hollis was bright, very bright. She knew that one day, even for her, her looks would fade. And she was looking for someone who at least could, at some level, value, appreciate, and love her unconditionally. But this is not just Hollis's quest, is it? It's the great search of all of us as human beings. I love that story. So a little challenge and a little thought. Let's appreciate, value, support, each other, one another, and those we love unconditionally. At the core of it, that's all we all want, really, isn't it? Thanks for listening.